Money struggles are not about how much you earn. They are about what you do every single day. Most people think they need a raise, a new job, or a lucky break to fix their finances, but the real truth is simpler and harder at the same time. Your money changes when your habits change. Every small decision you make, how you spend, how you save, how you react to stress, shapes your financial life far more than any paycheck ever will. If you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're constantly running in place, it's because your daily patterns are quietly controlling your results. The way you act today, even in small ways, creates the life you will have tomorrow. And the best part is this: you can take control. You can notice what's holding you back, replace harmful habits with better ones, and build routines that automatically move your finances forward. By the time this video ends, you will understand exactly how to take charge of your patterns, make smarter decisions without overthinking, and create financial stability that grows naturally. Your money will follow your habits, and it's time those habits work for you. Chapter 1. Reset your daily mindset to upgrade your financial behavior. You know, when a person sits down and wonders why their money is not growing, they often look at the numbers, they study the income, they study the bills, they study everything outside of themselves. But the real shift begins when you study your daily mindset, because your money follows your behavior, and your behavior follows the way you think every single day. If you want richer results, you start by building a richer mindset. Not with big ideas, not with fancy plans, but with a daily reset of how you see yourself and how you deal with your life. When you wake up and carry the same thoughts you carried yesterday, you keep repeating the same actions. You repeat the same choices. You repeat the same emotional reaction. And day after day, your financial life becomes a reflection of old patterns. I have met many people who wanted more money, but they carried a mindset that made them feel stuck. They said they wanted growth, but their thinking was still shaped by doubt, fear, and old stories from their past. And with that mindset, even when opportunities appeared, they could not see them. They could not use them. They could not trust themselves with them. Your financial behavior is not shaped in the moment you spend your money. It is shaped long before that. It begins in the thoughts you allow when you wake up. It begins in the feelings you hold during the day. It begins in the beliefs you have about yourself when no one is watching. A person who thinks they are not capable will act in ways that keep them small. A person who thinks money is always out of reach will always find themselves chasing. A person who believes they do not deserve better will reject progress even when it is right in front of them. Resetting your mindset does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means facing yourself honestly. It means noticing the thoughts that are slowing you down. It means replacing the old messages with new ones that support your growth. When you take a moment every day to check your mindset, you begin to take back control of your financial life. You stop reacting to everything around you. You stop repeating the same mistakes. You start responding with clarity, and that clarity shapes new behavior. Every person carries thoughts that come from old experiences. Maybe you grew up hearing that money is hard to earn. Maybe someone made you feel guilty for wanting more. Maybe you were taught to expect the worst. These ideas stay inside you. They show up in your choices. They show up in your habits. They show up in your daily routine. So the first step to improving your finances is to reset the mindset that has been guiding those choices. Sit with yourself and notice how you think when money becomes a topic. Do you feel fear? Do you feel stress? Do you feel unprepared? Do you feel like you are repeating the same cycle again and again? These reactions are patterns created long ago, and nothing changes until you interrupt them. You can rewrite the way you think about money, but you must do it every day. Consistency changes the way your mind works, and once the mind shifts, your behavior shifts with it. A strong mindset gives you the ability to say no to the things that take away your progress. It helps you stay patient when your goals require time. It helps you stay responsible when distractions appear. The right mindset keeps you grounded instead of overwhelmed. It helps you choose growth instead of comfort. And when you build that strength inside, your financial decisions naturally become better. You start saving more. You start spending with intention. You start planning your future instead of waiting for life to decide it for you. There are people who think their environment controls everything. They believe they are stuck because of where they live, where they work, or where they started. But your mindset has the power to break patterns that your environment created. You can rise above your circumstances when your mind is trained to look for better options. You can grow beyond your past when your mind is trained to focus on progress instead of fear. You can change the direction of your future when your mind is trained to act with discipline instead of emotion. Every day gives you a new chance to reset, and it starts with simple things. Notice how you talk to yourself. If you tell yourself that you cannot change, your behavior will follow. But if you tell yourself that you are capable, disciplined, and committed, your behavior begins to shift. Notice the thoughts that drain your energy. Replace them with thoughts that support your goals. Notice the moments when you act out of pressure. Shift them into actions based on clarity. A person with a strong mindset does not avoid problems. They face them with confidence. When they look at their bank account, they do not hide from the truth. They study it. They understand it. They learn from it. They make decisions that move them forward. And they repeat this process daily. This is what separates those who grow from those who stay where they are. The ones who grow look inward first. They work on themselves before they work on their money. Think about how you start your morning. If you begin with worry, stress, and frustration, your entire day becomes harder to manage. You make quick decisions. You act out of pressure. You fall back into old habits. But if you begin your morning with a calm mind, a clear sense of direction, and a belief that you can handle what comes your way, your day unfolds with strength. That strength shows up in your spending. It shows up in your discipline. It shows up in your ability to delay short-term comfort for long-term gain. People often try to improve their finances by forcing themselves into new habits. They promise to save more. They promise to stop unnecessary spending. They promise to plan better, but promises do not last without a mindset that supports them. A mindset reset is what makes a new habit stick. When your thinking changes, your habits feel natural. They stop feeling like a burden. They become part of your identity. Your financial behavior improves when you start seeing yourself as someone who deserves stability, growth, and success. When you see yourself as someone who can be trusted with responsibility. When you see yourself as someone disciplined enough to build a better life. This sense of self shifts everything. You start taking better actions because you finally believe you can. There is power in being honest with yourself. Ask yourself why you repeat certain patterns. Maybe you spend to feel better. Maybe you delay important tasks because they make you uncomfortable. Maybe you avoid decisions because you fear making the wrong move. These reactions are not financial issues. They are mindset issues. Once you understand why you behave this way, you can change it. And once you change it, your finances begin to move in a new direction. A stronger mindset helps you slow down. It helps you pause before you spend. It helps you stay patient when your goals require time. It helps you separate your feelings from your decisions. You begin to value your future more than a moment of comfort. And when that shift happens, your patterns start working for you instead of against you. Imagine waking up each day with a fresh chance to improve, a fresh chance to think better, a fresh chance to act better. That is the power of resetting your mindset daily. It keeps you aware. It keeps you intentional. It keeps you connected to the person you want to become. Your finances are a reflection of the patterns you follow, and your patterns are a reflection of the mindset you hold. If you want your money to grow, grow your thinking first. Treat your mindset like the foundation of your life. Build it strong. Build it clear. Build it with purpose. Today can be the day you break old patterns. Today can be the day you think in a new way. Today can be the day you take back control of your financial behavior. The moment you decide to reset your mindset is the moment your life begins to shift. Not in big dramatic ways, but in steady steps that build a better future. Your finances improve when your patterns improve, and your patterns improve when you reset your daily mindset. This change is in your hands. You can do it. You can shape yourself into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who chooses growth. And once you choose that, your entire financial life begins to rise. Chapter 2. Catch your small habits early to prevent financial damage. You know, most people think their financial problems come from one big mistake. They think it was a major purchase, a sudden emergency, or a moment where everything fell apart. But most financial damage does not come from big events. It comes from small habits that grow quietly over time. Habits so tiny that you barely notice them. Habits so familiar that they feel normal. And because they feel normal, you rarely question them. But these small habits are powerful because they shape the patterns that guide your money every single day. When you pay attention to the little things you do, you start to understand why your money behaves the way it does. You notice the moments when you choose convenience over responsibility. You notice the times when you buy something just to feel better. You notice the small leaks in your behavior that slowly drain your financial stability. And once you see them clearly, you can stop them before they grow into something that harms you. A small habit is easy to ignore because it does not cause instant damage. If you overspend a little today, nothing dramatic happens. If you avoid planning, nothing collapses right away. If you spend without thinking, life continues the same. But every small habit adds weight to your future. Every small choice creates a direction, and even a tiny shift in direction, repeated over months and years, leads you to a completely different destination. That is why catching small habits early matters so much. Think about the small decisions you make throughout the day. The quick purchases, the emotional spending, the moments when you say you will think about it later. These choices shape your routine, and your routine shapes your financial life. If you want a better future, you must look closely at the habits you follow without even realizing it. Many people believe they need to make huge changes to improve their finances. They think they have to earn a lot more money or completely transform their lifestyle. But real progress begins with catching the small patterns you repeat every day. When you correct small habits, you prevent big problems. When you fix small behaviors early, you save yourself from stress later. When you notice a pattern before it grows, you protect your financial future. Start by observing yourself. When do you spend the most? When do you feel the urge to buy something without thinking? When do you delay tasks that matter? These moments reveal your habits. Do not judge yourself. Just observe. You cannot change something you do not understand. Awareness gives you power, and power lets you choose a better path. A small habit like ignoring your expenses can lead to months of confusion. A small habit like buying something just because it feels good in the moment can lead to long-term regret. A small habit like avoiding uncomfortable financial conversations can create bigger problems down the line. When you catch these habits early, you stop them from turning into patterns that control your life. Pay attention to your emotional triggers. Many people spend money not because they need something, but because they want to escape a feeling. Maybe they feel stressed. Maybe they feel lonely. Maybe they feel bored. So they buy something to fill that emotional gap. It becomes a habit, and once this habit settles in, it starts showing up again and again. The damage does not come from one emotional purchase. It comes from the repetition of the same reaction every time feelings rise. When you catch this habit early, you learn to deal with your emotions in healthier ways, instead of using money as an escape. Another small habit that often causes financial trouble is delay. You tell yourself you will plan tomorrow. You tell yourself you will save next week. You tell yourself you will check your expenses later. And as days pass, the delay becomes a routine. You may not notice it at first, but this habit slowly steals your control. When you catch it early, you bring your attention back to your responsibilities. You stay grounded. You stay aware. You stay in charge. Even the way you talk to yourself about money becomes a habit. If you keep telling yourself you are bad with money, you will act like it. If you keep saying you do not have control, you will avoid taking action. If you keep repeating old beliefs, you will live out those beliefs without realizing it. Once you catch these mental habits early, you can challenge them. You can replace them with thoughts that push you forward instead of holding you back. Small habits often hide behind routine. For example, a person may have a daily habit of buying something they do not need, simply because it became part of their routine. They may not feel guilty. They may not even think about it. It is automatic. But automatic habits often do the most damage because they slip beneath awareness. When you bring light to them, you give yourself a chance to choose differently. You must look at your day as a series of patterns. Each pattern gives you a chance to shape your future. If you start the day without clarity, you may fall into habits that work against you. If you end the day without reflection, you may miss the lessons that could help you grow. When you catch these patterns early, you build stronger awareness, and with awareness, you take better actions. Think about how many times people say they are tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, and when those feelings appear, they reach for comfort. Sometimes that comfort is food. Sometimes it is entertainment. Sometimes it is spending. These small habits build a life without intention. And a life without intention cannot create financial peace. When you recognize these habits early, you learn to act from strength instead of emotion. Another small habit to watch for is the habit of saying yes too easily. You agree to things that do not fit your budget. You join others in spending because you do not want to feel left out. You make choices based on pressure instead of your goals. This habit grows quietly, and over time, it damages your financial stability. When you catch it early, you learn to choose your long-term well-being over short-term approval. Each time you catch a small habit, you give yourself a chance to improve your financial story. You learn to pause before making decisions. You learn to question your impulses. You learn to reflect on your behavior. These skills are simple, but they create powerful change. When you take control of your small habits, you take control of your life. You become someone who makes decisions based on purpose. You become someone who moves toward goals instead of reacting to emotions. You become someone who guards their financial future with discipline and clarity. The truth is, your future does not fall apart because of one moment. It falls apart because of the small habits, repeated over years, without awareness. But that also means your future can grow through small habits, repeated with intention. You do not need dramatic changes. You need consistent awareness. You need honesty with yourself. You need courage to catch the things you prefer to ignore. A person who pays attention to small habits becomes someone who prevents problems before they grow. They do not let small mistakes turn into big regret. They do not let small temptations shape their future. They do not let small distractions destroy their progress. They build their life in a way that protects them, in a way that strengthens them, in a way that supports their long-term vision. You have the ability to catch your habits early. You have the strength to confront the things that slow you down. You have the awareness to choose better actions. This is how you protect your financial future. Not through one huge change, but through daily honesty with yourself, through the willingness to adjust small behaviors before they grow into something harmful. Your finances reflect your patterns, and your patterns are built from the habits you repeat without thinking. When you catch these habits early, you gain control before damage begins. You save yourself from stress. You save yourself from regret. You save yourself from years of repeated mistakes. Today gives you a chance to look at your habits with fresh eyes, to understand them, to correct them, to replace them with choices that support your goals. The small habits you change today will protect your future tomorrow. And that is how you begin to build a life that works in your favor. A life that grows instead of breaks. A life shaped by awareness, discipline, and clear intention. Catch your small habits early. They shape everything, and when you take charge of them, your financial life moves in a better direction. One strong decision at a time. Chapter 3. Notice your emotional triggers to improve your money decisions. You know, when a person struggles with their money decisions, it is rarely because they do not know what to do. Most people understand the basics. Spend less than you earn. Save a part of what you make. Avoid unnecessary purchases. These ideas are simple, but simple does not mean easy. The real challenge begins when your emotions step in, because emotions can take a clear plan and turn it into confusion. Emotions can push you into choices you did not plan. Emotions can guide you into patterns that move you away from the future you want. And unless you learn to notice your emotional triggers, you will keep making decisions that do not match the life you are trying to build. Every decision has a feeling behind it. You may not see it, but it is there. Some people spend when they feel stressed. Some people avoid planning when they feel overwhelmed. Some people delay action because they fear making a mistake. Some people give in to small desires because they feel tired and want comfort. These emotional triggers are strong because they work in the background. They influence your choices before you even realize what is happening. When you start noticing your emotional triggers, you begin to understand why you make certain decisions. You stop guessing. You stop blaming your circumstances. You stop feeling confused. Instead, you see the truth clearly. You see what drives your actions. You see the feelings behind your habits. And once you see them, you gain the power to change them. Think about the last time you made a financial decision you regretted. Maybe you bought something you did not need. Maybe you avoided an important task. Maybe you acted quickly because you felt pressured. If you look closely, you will realize there was a feeling behind that decision. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was boredom. Maybe it was excitement. Maybe it was frustration. The feeling pushed the action, and the action created the result. Financial discipline is not just about numbers. It is about knowing yourself. It is about understanding the emotional patterns that show up in your daily life. A person who notices their emotional triggers becomes someone who chooses with clarity instead of reacting out of pressure. They make decisions based on their goals instead of their temporary feelings. You must begin by paying attention to the moments when you feel an urge to spend, not the big moments, the small ones. Those small urges tell you more about yourself than you think. Ask yourself what you were feeling right before the urge appeared. Were you stressed? Were you bored? Were you trying to distract yourself? Were you trying to feel better? These questions open the door to personal understanding. Many people think emotions are too complicated to manage, but emotional awareness begins with simple observation. Notice how your body reacts. Notice the thoughts that show up. Notice the changes in your mood. When something shifts inside you, the mind looks for comfort or escape, and often that escape becomes spending or avoiding responsibility. When you start noticing these emotional moments early, you can stop yourself from acting in ways that hurt you later. There are people who use spending to deal with loneliness. They buy something so they will not feel empty for a moment. There are people who use spending to reward themselves when they feel unappreciated. They buy something to feel valued. There are people who use spending to distract themselves from a problem they do not want to face. These emotional triggers may feel harmless at first. They may even feel comforting. But over time they lead to patterns that work against your financial well-being. When you recognize the connection between your emotions and your decisions, you gain the ability to break the pattern. You begin to create distance between the feeling and the action. Instead of reacting, you pause. Instead of rushing, you think. Instead of giving in, you question your motive. This pause makes all the difference. Most financial damage happens in moments when emotions rise and awareness disappears. But when awareness stays with you, your choices become thoughtful instead of careless. You must also pay attention to your emotional reactions toward responsibility. Some people avoid planning because planning makes them feel stressed. Some people avoid checking their finances because the truth makes them uncomfortable. Some people avoid saving because it reminds them of pressure. These emotional triggers push them away from the actions that would help them grow. Noticing these triggers does not mean judging yourself. It means understanding why you feel the way you feel. And once you understand it, you can change your approach. If planning makes you anxious, take small steps. If saving makes you feel pressure, set simple goals. If checking your finances brings discomfort, build a routine that feels manageable. Your emotional triggers lose their power when you face them directly. Another emotional trigger many people experience is comparison. When they see someone else spending, they feel the urge to match it. When they see someone living in a certain way, they feel pressure to follow. This emotional trigger can lead to choices that hurt your financial stability. And it happens not because you need something, but because you do not want to feel behind. When you notice this trigger, you remind yourself that your path is personal. Your decisions must support your future, not someone else's image. You must also be aware of the emotional trigger of impatience. Many people want quick results. They want comfort now. They want progress now. They want success now. Impatience leads to shortcuts, and shortcuts often cost more than they give. When you catch this trigger early, you remind yourself that growth takes time. You stay patient, you stay wise, you stay focused on the long-term picture. Emotional triggers do not disappear overnight. They fade when you practice awareness daily. Each time you notice your feelings before making a decision, you weaken the hold those feelings have on you. Each time you pause long enough to understand yourself, you grow stronger. Each time you choose patience over impulse, you shape a better future. A person who understands their emotional triggers becomes someone who uses their emotions instead of being controlled by them. They make choices with a calm mind. They carry a sense of stability that shows in their decisions. They build a level of self-control that turns into financial strength. When you notice your triggers, you also learn to manage your environment. If stress triggers spending, You find healthier ways to release stress. If boredom triggers impulse buying, you create better activities for your mind. If pressure triggers unhealthy decisions, you work on improving your mindset. These small improvements create powerful long-term change. You start to build a new relationship with money. A relationship based on awareness instead of emotion. A relationship based on intention instead of habit. A relationship based on strength instead of reaction. Your emotional triggers reveal your weaknesses, but they also reveal your opportunities. When you notice them, you learn where you need growth. You learn where you need discipline. You learn where you need better habit. This awareness becomes the foundation of stronger money decisions. You are capable of understanding yourself. You are capable of noticing the moments when emotions rise. You are capable of pausing long enough to choose wisely. You are capable of breaking patterns that once controlled you. Your financial story begins not with money, but with emotional awareness. By noticing your triggers, you protect yourself from harmful decisions. You build habits that lead to stability. You create patterns that support a better future. This is how you improve your money decision. One emotional moment at a time. One conscious choice at a time. One honest observation at a time. When you master your emotional triggers, you master your decisions. And when you master your decisions, your financial life begins to rise. Chapter 4. Choose healthier routines daily to build lasting financial control. Every day, you're shaping your financial future, even when you're not thinking about money at all. Most people imagine financial control as one big decision: earning more, saving more, or cutting expenses aggressively. But the truth is quieter, slower, and much more psychological. Your financial strength is built in the tiny choices you repeat without noticing. It's built in the conversations you have with yourself before the world even wakes up. And it's built in the routines that silently guide your behavior even when your motivation is low. A person doesn't become financially stable overnight. They become stable the moment they stop letting their impulses, distractions, and old habits run the show. Healthy routines are not about forcing yourself to live like a machine. They're about building a life where good decisions become your default setting. When you understand this, your relationship with money becomes much easier. You stop depending on bursts of motivation, which always fade, and you start depending on structure, something far more reliable. A routine is not just what you do, it's what you choose not to do. It's the invisible filter that protects your time, your energy, and your attention from being drained by everything that offers quick pleasure but long-term regret. Every morning your brain wakes up with a certain level of mental clarity. What you do in the first hour sets the tone for your entire day. If you rush, grab your phone, and consume noise, your mind becomes scattered. Scattered minds spend impulsive. But when you start your day with intention, just a few minutes to breathe, sit with your thoughts, or review your priorities, you sharpen your ability to make clear choices. This clarity spills into your money decisions without you even realizing it. A calm mind buys differently. A calm mind says no to things that offer excitement but steal stability. A calm mind remembers the long game. Healthy routines are not complicated. In fact, the simpler they are, the more powerful they become. You don't need a long list of tasks. You need actions that strengthen your discipline in small, steady ways. Something as simple as making your bed trains your brain to complete tasks. Preparing your own breakfast teaches patience and self-care. Writing down what you want to achieve today keeps your attention focused on what matters. These little actions don't look like financial strategies, but psychologically they condition you to behave like someone who values structure over chaos. People with structure make better money choices because they've trained their mind to think before acting. You start gaining financial control the moment your routines stop reacting to your emotions. When you're tired, stressed, or frustrated, your brain tries to look for comfort, and comfort usually looks like convenience. Ordering food, buying something unnecessary, clicking on a limited offer, or convincing yourself you deserve a treat. Without any routine to hold you steady, your emotions become your decision maker. But when you have daily habits that anchor you, like planning your meals, tracking your spending, reviewing your weekly goals, or setting boundaries with your time, you don't slide into emotional spending so easily. Your routines act like guardrails, keeping you from drifting into behaviors you regret. Most people fail financially not because they are irresponsible, but because they have no systems to support them when life gets hard. A routine shields you from your weaker moments. It's like having a second version of yourself, the version that is calm, logical, and focused, that steps in before you make choices you'll regret. When you build healthier routines, you build a lifestyle that keeps you consistent even when your mood changes. Anyone can make a smart financial decision once. Routines ensure you make them every day. One powerful routine is creating a daily moment of financial check-in. Not stress, not fear, just awareness. Spend a few minutes looking at your spending, your plans, or your goal. When you do this consistently, something interesting happens. Your brain becomes more protective of your money. You start noticing habits you didn't see before. You start catching small leaks, like subscriptions you forgot, unnecessary snacks, daily impulsive purchases, and stopping them feels empowering. When you face your numbers confidently every day, money stops controlling you. You begin to control it. Another routine that strengthens financial control is setting a clear spending rhythm. Many people spend randomly, not because they don't care, but because they don't have a structure guiding them. You can set simple rules that help you avoid emotional decisions, choosing certain days for grocery shopping, choosing specific times to review bills, deciding that you won't buy anything on impulse until 24 hours pass, or automating the important payments so you don't rely on willpower. Every rule you create becomes a quiet discipline that builds long-term stability. Your environment is also part of your routine. A cluttered environment creates cluttered decisions. When your space is full of distractions, your mind becomes restless. Restless minds look for quick rewards, but when your environment is clean, organized, and peaceful, you feel more in control, and that sense of control reflects in your money habits. A person who organizes their room effortlessly becomes someone who organizes their spending. A person who maintains order in their surroundings becomes someone who maintains order in their budget. The mind follows the environment. There's another side of your routine that matters deeply: how you manage your energy. Financial control depends on self-control, and self-control depends on energy. When you're sleep-deprived, under-eating, overstimulated, or mentally exhausted, you lose the ability to make long-term decisions. You may know what the right choice is, but your energy pulls you toward the easier one. So healthier routines with sleep, food, and rest are not just lifestyle habits, they are money habits. When your energy is balanced, your spending becomes more intentional. You stop using money as a coping mechanism. You stop rewarding yourself for surviving the day. You make decisions from a place of strength. One of the hardest truths is that routines reveal who you are becoming. If your routines are rushed, emotional, and unplanned, your financial life becomes unpredictable. But if your routines are steady and thoughtful, your financial life starts to look the same. People admire discipline, but discipline is simply a routine repeated long enough. And once your routines become part of you, controlling your finances becomes natural. You don't fight yourself anymore. You guide yourself. Healthy routines also help you detach from comparison. When your days are filled with meaningful habits, your mind stops craving validation. You stop chasing trends, stop caring about showing off, and stop feeling the need to keep up with anyone. Comparison drains money. Daily structure protects it. You begin spending based on what you truly need, not what the world is trying to convince you to desire. You grow into someone who is focused, grounded, and immune to financial pressure from others. You eventually realize that healthier routines are not about living a boring life. They are about giving yourself freedom. They free you from constant overthinking. They free you from impulsiveness. They free you from regret. Imagine the peace of waking up and knowing that you don't have to force discipline today because your routine is already carrying you. Imagine making money decisions without stress or hesitation because the habits you built behind the scenes are guiding your mind. That is real financial control. Not the loud, showy kind, but the quiet and powerful kind that lasts a lifetime. The life you want will be built on the habits you choose today, not next month, not when you feel ready, but today. Healthy routines don't ask you to be perfect. They ask you to be consistent. They don't require massive effort. They require small steps that you're willing to repeat. And once these routines settle into your life, they become the foundation that protects your money, your stability, and your future. When your days become healthier, your decisions become clearer. When your routines become stronger, your finances follow. And when your habits align with the future you want, you stop hoping for financial control. You start living. Chapter 5. Challenge your old patterns today to create real financial change. Most people live their financial lives on autopilot. They follow patterns they learned long ago without questioning them. They act based on habits developed from childhood experiences, societal messages, or past failures. Many of these patterns seem harmless at first. They are just routines, decisions, and reactions that have been repeated so often they feel normal. But normal does not always mean healthy. Some of these patterns quietly limit your financial growth. They keep you trapped in cycles that are comfortable but unproductive. And if you want real financial change, you cannot accept the comfort of old patterns. You must challenge them. Challenging your old patterns begins with awareness. You need to see the ways you act automatically. Take a moment to reflect on your spending habits. Ask yourself, what choices do I repeat without thinking? When do I fall into old behaviors that I promised I would change? When do I avoid tasks that I know are important for my growth? Identifying these patterns is uncomfortable, but this discomfort is necessary. Growth rarely happens in comfort zones. When you face your habits honestly, you take the first step toward real change. Many people think change requires massive effort. They believe they need to overhaul their finances completely in one day. But the truth is that change starts with small challenges to old patterns. If you always buy coffee every morning out of habit, skip it for a week and notice how it affects your spending. If you always react to a sale by buying unnecessary items, pause and question the urge. These small disruptions create awareness. They show you that your actions are choices, not automatic reactions. And once you realize that, you gain control. Old financial patterns are often reinforced by emotion. Maybe you spend to feel better when you are stressed. Maybe you avoid reviewing your budget because it makes you anxious. Maybe you delay saving because it feels uncomfortable. These emotional patterns are powerful because they are habitual. They appear before you even think. Challenging these patterns means pausing long enough to notice them and acting differently. When you interrupt the emotional loop, you stop old habits from controlling your future. It is also important to examine the stories you tell yourself. Many people repeat financial patterns because of the beliefs they hold about themselves. I'm bad with money. I'll never have enough. I don't deserve financial freedom. These thoughts become self-fulfilling prophecies. They shape your choices before you even make them. Challenging your old patterns requires challenging these stories. Replace them with thoughts that support growth. Recognize that your past does not determine your future. Your actions today determine the trajectory of your finances. One way to challenge old patterns is to introduce intentional friction into your habits. If you are used to spending impulsively online, remove the saved payment information from your accounts. Make the process require thought. If you always spend before reviewing your budget, implement a rule to pause and reflect before any purchase. If you habitually avoid saving, automate a small portion of your income first thing in the month. These small challenges disrupt automatic patterns and give your conscious mind a chance to guide your behavior. Challenging old patterns also requires honesty about your environment. Many patterns persist because your surroundings reinforce them. Maybe your friends spend recklessly, or social media constantly tempts you, or your workplace encourages instant gratification. Recognizing how external factors shape your behavior allows you to make proactive changes. You can set boundaries, you can reduce exposure to triggers, you can surround yourself with influences that support the patterns you want to build. Change is easier when your environment supports your goals rather than working against them. Consistency is key when challenging old patterns. One day of restraint or awareness is not enough. Old habits have been reinforced over months or years, so it takes repeated effort to change them. Keep a daily record of your decisions. Track moments where you noticed an old pattern and acted differently. Celebrate small victories. Even tiny successes show you that you are capable of choosing differently. This practice strengthens your resolve and slowly rewires your behavior over time. It is also important to challenge patterns in multiple areas simultaneously. Financial behavior is interconnected with time management, energy management, and emotional habits. If you challenge your spending patterns but continue unhealthy routines in other areas, your progress will be limited. Aligning your daily routines with your financial goals strengthens the change. Eating well, sleeping enough, focusing your attention on growth, and maintaining clarity all support better money decisions. Your entire life needs to reflect the change you are trying to make. Many people fear challenging old patterns because change is uncomfortable. Your brain resists anything unfamiliar. Old patterns feel safe, even if they are holding you back. You may feel doubt, guilt, or fear when attempting something new. This is normal. Discomfort is part of growth. When you experience these feelings, it is a sign that you are doing meaningful work. Lean into the discomfort. Observe it, understand it, and act despite it. That is how real transformation occurs. Another critical step in challenging old patterns is replacing them with better alternatives. Breaking a habit without giving your mind a replacement creates a void, and your brain will often revert to the old pattern. For example, if you stop buying unnecessary items impulsively, replace that action with reviewing your savings or planning a goal. If you stop eating out constantly, replace it with preparing meals at home. If you stop avoiding financial planning, replace it with a 5-minute daily review. New patterns need to fill the space left by old habits to create lasting change. Challenging patterns is also about redefining what success looks like for you. Many people follow old patterns because they are imitating others or seeking approval. They spend, save, or invest based on what they think is expected. True financial change comes from aligning your behavior with your personal values and goals. Ask yourself, what do I want my financial life to look like? What kind of person do I want to become? Your patterns should reflect that vision, not outside pressure. Self-awareness grows stronger each time you successfully challenge an old pattern. You start noticing subtle cues you previously ignored. You recognize situations where you are vulnerable to repeating old behaviors. You gain insight into your emotional and mental triggers. This awareness is a superpower in financial management because it allows you to act before a pattern controls you. It transforms passive habits into conscious decisions, and conscious decisions build wealth steadily. Challenging old patterns is not about perfection, it is about direction. Each time you notice a recurring habit and decide to act differently, you take a step toward financial freedom. You may stumble, you may fail, but each attempt strengthens your ability to choose wisely in the future. Over time, repeated effort compounds into dramatic change. Financial growth is not about luck, It is about the consistent willingness to challenge and replace patterns that no longer serve you. Accountability can accelerate this process. Share your goals with someone you trust, or track your progress publicly. The act of expressing your intentions forces you to clarify them for yourself and increases the likelihood you will follow through. It is harder to slip back into old patterns when someone else is aware of your journey. Accountability partners can also provide encouragement and feedback when you face resistance or temptation. Your patterns define your financial life. They determine how you respond to opportunities, setbacks, and challenges. They dictate whether you act with discipline or impulse. They control whether you save, invest, or spend. The most successful financial transformations happen when a person deliberately interrupts old patterns and replaces them with routines aligned with their goals. This process is slow, intentional, and continuous. There is no shortcut, but there is certainty. Challenge your patterns today, and your life shifts. Every time you successfully challenge an old pattern, you prove to yourself that change is possible. This builds confidence. It shows you that you are not controlled by habit. It shows you that your decisions matter. Confidence reinforces itself because action strengthens belief. Each small victory accumulates, creating a mindset that no longer fears financial responsibility but embraces it. It is also essential to review your progress periodically. Look back at the behaviors you have challenged and see the results. Notice which strategies worked, which patterns persisted, and what adjustments are necessary. Continuous reflection ensures that you are not merely reacting to surface-level changes, but creating deep, lasting transformation in how you interact with your finances. Challenging old patterns is not just about resisting negative behaviors. It is also about actively cultivating new skills. You develop budgeting skills, saving strategies, investment awareness, and long-term planning ability. You become someone who recognizes opportunity, evaluates risk carefully, and makes decisions with intention. Your patterns shift from reactive to proactive. This change is visible not just in your finances, but in your confidence, mindset, and overall approach to life. The sooner you begin challenging your old patterns, the sooner your life changes. Waiting only strengthens the habits that hold you back. Action today compounds into future results. Even small efforts made consistently disrupt old cycles and establish momentum toward lasting financial freedom. Your patterns do not define you permanently. You have the power to challenge them, reshape them, and replace them with better ones. The process takes honesty, courage, and discipline, but it is completely within your control. Real financial change does not come from wishing or hoping. It comes from actively questioning and adjusting your behavior until it reflects the life you want. Start now. Identify one pattern that consistently holds you back. Take a step today to act differently. Observe the result. Learn. Adjust. Repeat. Every action builds strength. Every decision reinforces growth. Every moment of awareness chips away at the old cycles that limited you. Change is possible when you challenge yourself consistently. Your financial future is built in the moments you refuse to let old habits dictate your choices. You cannot wait for the perfect moment. You cannot wait for the perfect plan. You can only act in the moment you have, and each act compounds into lasting transformation. Your finances improve not when life gets easier, but when you challenge the habits that limit your result. Each time you step outside your comfort zone, each time you question what you have done for years without thinking, you are rewriting your financial story. The small actions you take today shape the stability, growth, and freedom you will experience tomorrow. Challenge your patterns today. Question them. Act differently. Repeat daily. In this deliberate process, financial change becomes inevitable. The life you want is not in luck or circumstance. It is in the consistent choices you make to challenge what no longer serves you. And that is how you build lasting financial control, one conscious decision at a time. Chapter 6. Strengthen your daily discipline to improve your financial direction. Discipline is not something that appears overnight. It is built moment by moment, choice by choice, and day by day. When it comes to finances, discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Many people want financial freedom, but they overlook the small acts that build direction. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is clarity. It is a commitment to consistently act in ways that move you closer to your goals. Without it, good intentions fade and opportunities slip by unnoticed. Your daily discipline starts with how you handle small decisions. These are the choices that seem insignificant at first, whether to save a small portion of your income, whether to track expenses, whether to pause before making a purchase. These tiny actions accumulate over time. Ignoring them creates chaos. Following them consistently creates momentum. Discipline is about showing up for yourself in these seemingly minor moments, even when it feels inconvenient or boring. Many people confuse discipline with harsh restriction. They think being disciplined means depriving yourself, counting every cent, or living under constant stress. True discipline is not about deprivation. It is about structure. It is about creating a system that supports your priorities. When you commit to this system, making the right choice becomes easier because it is no longer a struggle between desire and restraint. It is a natural response to the framework you have built. Financial discipline requires awareness. You cannot strengthen something you do not see. Take an honest look at your daily routines. Where does your money go? How often do you act on impulse? How do emotions influence your spending and saving patterns? Awareness allows you to identify the areas where discipline is weakest. Once you see these areas clearly, you can begin to build routines and rules that guide your actions toward long-term success. Consistency is the backbone of discipline. It is not enough to make the right choice once or twice. Discipline grows through repetition. Saving a small amount every day is more powerful than saving a large sum inconsistently. Reviewing your expenses regularly teaches you accountability. Following through on small promises to yourself strengthens your confidence. Each repetition builds your ability to act with intention rather than habit. Emotional resilience is part of financial discipline. Money decisions are often influenced by stress, fear, or frustration. Without resilience, these emotions can override rational thought. Strengthening discipline means training yourself to act despite your feelings. It is about pausing before reacting. It is about asking, does this decision serve my goals? Even when you feel tired, impatient, or distracted, disciplined action keeps you on track. Emotional discipline is a muscle that grows stronger every time you resist acting impulsively. Creating a structured plan supports daily discipline. When you know what your priorities are, it becomes easier to allocate resources wisely. Budgeting, setting saving goals, and planning for upcoming expenses are not restrictions. They are tools that empower you to act intentionally. A well-structured plan transforms uncertainty into clarity. When you have a roadmap, your decisions are guided by strategy rather than impulse. This is how discipline translates into financial direction. Another key to strengthening daily discipline is accountability. Share your goals with someone you trust, or track your progress visibly. When your commitments are monitored, you are less likely to deviate from them. Accountability does not replace internal discipline, but it reinforces it. It reminds you that your choices matter, not just to yourself, but to the outcomes you are building. Tracking progress and acknowledging small wins keeps your motivation aligned with action. Discipline also involves prioritization. Financial freedom is not achieved by attempting to do everything at once. You must focus on actions that have the greatest impact. Identify which habits and routines move you closer to your goals. Prioritize paying yourself first, reducing unnecessary expenses, and making informed financial decisions. Let go of actions that offer temporary pleasure but do not serve your long-term objective. This kind of selective focus strengthens your direction and preserves your energy for what matters most. Daily discipline requires patience. Growth rarely happens overnight. You may not see immediate results from disciplined saving or careful spending. This is not a failure, it is part of the process. Patience allows you to continue acting consistently, even when the outcomes are delayed. Discipline is the long-term investment in your future self. Each day you act deliberately, you reinforce the trajectory toward financial stability and freedom. Reflection is an essential component of strengthening discipline. Take time regularly to evaluate your decisions and outcomes. Ask yourself where you succeeded and where you need improvement. Reflection allows you to learn from mistakes without judgment. It also reinforces successful patterns by highlighting their benefits. The process of reviewing your actions deepens your understanding of how discipline affects results and strengthens your ability to act wisely in the future. Discipline requires clear boundaries. Without limits, you are more likely to act on impulse. Establish rules for spending, saving, and investing. Set specific times to review your finances. Define how much discretionary money you will allow yourself. Boundaries are not limitations, they are structures that protect your resources and guide you toward your goals. A disciplined approach creates freedom within limits, allowing you to navigate your financial life with control and clarity. Financial discipline is also about preparation. Anticipate challenges and plan for them. Create an emergency fund, automate essential payments, and prepare for irregular expenses. When you are prepared, you reduce stress and increase your ability to act consistently. Discipline is easier when the unexpected does not derail your progress. Preparation transforms uncertainty into confidence and strengthens your resolve to stay on track. Accountable discipline builds confidence. Each time you follow through on a commitment, your self-trust increases. You begin to see that you are capable of consistent action. This belief in yourself compounds over time, making future discipline easier to maintain. Confidence and discipline reinforce each other, creating a cycle of growth that positively impacts your financial direction. Strengthening daily discipline also involves creating rituals that support focus. Begin each day by reviewing your goals, prioritizing your tasks, or reflecting on your progress. End each day by evaluating decisions and preparing for tomorrow. These small, consistent rituals anchor your behavior. They provide structure and clarity. When you practice them consistently, your financial direction is no longer subject to chance, but guided by intentional action. Avoid distractions that weaken discipline. Social media, advertisements, and peer pressure can all influence impulsive decisions. Strengthening discipline means creating boundaries around these triggers. Limit exposure to what prompts unnecessary spending or distracts from long-term objectives. By controlling your environment, you reduce the likelihood of impulsive behavior and create a supportive context for disciplined action. Self-discipline is also about delayed gratification. Choosing long-term benefits over immediate pleasure is central to building financial control. Each time you resist an impulse purchase or prioritize saving, you strengthen your ability to make decisions that serve your future self. Delayed gratification may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it compounds into significant advantages over time. This consistent practice reinforces both financial stability and personal resilience. Discipline grows stronger when it is tied to a purpose. Understand why you want financial control, whether it is security, freedom, or independence. Connecting your actions to a meaningful purpose fuels motivation. Purpose gives context to routine actions and reinforces the importance of consistency. When your actions align with your why, discipline becomes less about restriction and more about commitment to a life you value. Visualization supports discipline. Spend time imagining the outcomes of consistent action. Picture yourself saving steadily, avoiding unnecessary expenses, and achieving financial milestones. Visualization strengthens mental commitment and helps translate intention into action. When you see the benefits clearly, Discipline becomes easier to maintain because your brain is aligned with the results you are pursuing. Discipline is not about perfection. You will make mistakes. You will experience setbacks. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not the absence of errors, but the ability to return to disciplined behavior immediately. Each time you correct a deviation, you strengthen your capacity for consistent resilience in the face of mistakes, solidifies your direction, and builds trust in your ability to stay on track. Creating accountability systems enhances daily discipline. Track spending, log savings, or share progress with a trusted friend or mentor. These systems reinforce behavior and provide external feedback. They reduce reliance on willpower alone, which can fluctuate, and support sustained action. Over time, the combination of internal discipline and external accountability creates an unstoppable force toward financial growth. Consistency, awareness, preparation, boundaries, purpose, and reflection are the pillars of financial discipline. Each day you act intentionally, you strengthen these pillars. Every small decision builds momentum. Every repeated action compounds into long-term growth. Discipline is not a single act, it is the accumulation of deliberate choices executed day after day. Strengthening your daily discipline transforms not only your finances, but your mindset. You become someone who thinks strategically, acts intentionally, and responds rationally rather than impulsively. Your decisions reflect your priorities instead of external pressures or fleeting emotions. Your financial direction becomes clear, steady, and aligned with the life you envision. Financial freedom is built on daily discipline. It is not luck or chance. It is not a sudden windfall or opportunity. It is the steady accumulation of deliberate actions, repeated consistently over time. Each day you strengthen your discipline. You move closer to clarity, control, and long-term success. The process begins now. Identify areas where discipline is weak. Commit to small, consistent actions that align with your financial goals. Track progress, reflect, adjust, and repeat. Daily commitment strengthens your ability to act intentionally, guides your decisions, and shapes the financial direction you desire. Over time, the consistent practice of discipline transforms potential into results, dreams into reality, and uncertainty into controlled, intentional growth. Strengthen your daily discipline. Today, build it step by step, choice by choice, day by day. Your financial direction depends on it. Your long-term success depends on it. Every deliberate action compounds, and every moment of consistency moves you closer to the life you want. The power to shape your future is in your hands, and daily discipline is the tool that turns intention into reality.
Chapter 7. Correct your automatic reactions to protect your financial future. Most people make financial decisions without realizing they are reacting automatically. These automatic reactions often come from years of reinforced behavior, emotional impulses, and subconscious habits. They are quick responses to stimuli, like seeing a sale, receiving a message about an opportunity, or feeling stressed, and they often bypass rational thinking. The problem is that these automatic reactions are rarely aligned with your long-term goals. They favor immediate satisfaction or emotional relief over strategic growth. Protecting your financial future requires you to notice these patterns, understand their origins, and correct them before they determine your results. Automatic reactions happen because the brain seeks efficiency. It wants to save energy, so it falls back on learned behavior. These habits were once useful or comforting, but over time, they can work against you. For example, if you grew up in an environment where money was scarce, you might automatically panic when faced with spending or investment decisions. If you were rewarded for impulsive behavior, your brain might link pleasure with immediate acquisition. These reactions become reflexive, and unless you consciously intervene, they continue to shape your financial outcomes without thought. Correcting automatic reactions starts with awareness. You need to notice the moments when you act without thinking. These moments may feel natural or even necessary at the time, but they reveal patterns you have not examined. Pay attention to your triggers. Are they emotional, situational, or environmental? Does stress push you to spend? Does boredom drive impulsive choices? Do social pressures manipulate your decisions? Recognizing these triggers allows you to intervene intentionally rather than react blindly. Once you identify the triggers behind automatic reactions, the next step is to pause. The pause is a small but powerful action. It creates a gap between stimulus and response, allowing your rational mind to evaluate the best course of action. During this pause, ask yourself a few critical questions. Does this action serve my long-term goal? Am I reacting to emotion rather than necessity? What are the potential consequences? Pausing transforms reaction into conscious choice, and conscious choice is the foundation of financial protection. Repetition is key to changing automatic behavior. The brain reinforces what it practices. If you consistently respond impulsively, the habit strengthens. If you consistently pause and choose deliberately, the new pattern replaces the old one over time. Correcting automatic reactions is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice that reshapes how you interact with money. Each corrected reaction reinforces your ability to act with intention and builds confidence in your financial decisions. One common area where automatic reactions undermine financial security is impulse spending. Impulse purchases often occur in seconds, triggered by a promotion, advertisement, or emotional state. When you notice the urge, do not try to suppress it immediately, as suppression alone rarely works. Instead, create a strategy. Pause, breathe, and evaluate the necessity and long-term impact. Ask whether this purchase aligns with your goals or simply satisfies a temporary desire. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to respond with consideration rather than impulse. Another example is avoiding financial responsibility. Some people automatically procrastinate reviewing bills, savings, or investments because it feels uncomfortable or stressful. This reaction may seem minor but compounds over time. Ignoring your financial situation allows small problems to grow into crises. Correcting this reaction involves creating a structured approach. Set consistent times to review finances daily or weekly. Turn it into a routine that reduces emotional resistance and strengthens deliberate action. Correcting automatic reactions also involves managing your emotional state. Strong emotions like fear, anxiety, excitement, or frustration can drive quick decisions that undermine financial stability. Emotional regulation is a skill. Learn to recognize when emotions influence your choices and develop strategies to create calm before acting. Techniques like deep breathing, short walks, or simply delaying a decision by a few hours can prevent impulsive mistakes and protect your financial trajectory. You must also examine the mental shortcuts you take. People often rely on assumptions, habits, or past experiences to make decisions. These shortcuts, while efficient, are not always accurate or beneficial. For example, automatically trusting a salesperson, repeating investment patterns without analysis, or following trends can erode financial security. Correcting these reactions requires critical thinking. Ask questions, seek clarity, and evaluate options logically. Train your mind to pause before accepting familiar but potentially harmful patterns. Creating accountability strengthens the correction of automatic reaction. Share your intentions with a trusted friend, mentor, or partner who can provide feedback. Accountability adds an extra layer of awareness and encourages consistency. When someone else is observing or supporting your efforts, you are more likely to pause and make conscious choices rather than defaulting to old behaviors. This external reinforcement accelerates the internal rewiring process. Correcting automatic reactions is not just about avoiding mistakes, it is also about reinforcing positive behaviors. Automatic habits can be redirected toward constructive financial action. For instance, if you naturally reach for your phone when bored, replace it with reviewing your budget or exploring ways to increase income. If you habitually compare yourself to others, redirect that energy toward learning or personal improvement. Over time, your brain will form new default responses that support your financial goals rather than undermine them. Consistency matters. The first time you catch an automatic reaction and correct it, you will feel success, but also challenge. The brain resists change initially. Patterns formed over years cannot be undone in a day. Repetition is necessary to cement new behavior. Each conscious choice weakens the old reflexive response. Each time you act deliberately, you reinforce the new pattern. Discipline and repetition transform awareness into habit, and habit becomes the foundation of financial protection. Environment plays a crucial role in shaping automatic reactions. Surroundings, media, and social interactions influence reflexive behavior. Identify elements that trigger impulsive or unproductive financial actions and adjust accordingly. This might mean reducing exposure to advertisements, limiting social comparisons, or creating a workspace that supports focus. Changing your environment reduces the frequency of negative automatic reactions and makes conscious choices easier to implement. Training your brain requires deliberate practice. Start with small, manageable actions and gradually increase complexity. For example, if impulse spending is a problem, start by delaying purchases by one day. Gradually increase this delay or add steps like reviewing your budget before buying. If procrastination with bills is an issue, schedule a 5-minute daily check-in and slowly expand. These incremental practices retrain automatic responses without overwhelming your mind, making long-term change sustainable. Awareness, pause, repetition, accountability, environment, and incremental training form the framework for correcting automatic reaction. Together, they create a system that allows deliberate action to replace impulsive behavior. By practicing this consistently, your financial decisions become intentional, your mistakes decrease, and your long-term goals gain momentum. Correcting automatic reactions also requires self-compassion. You will slip into old habits occasionally. That is natural. The key is not to judge yourself harshly, but to return to deliberate action quickly. Each return reinforces control and builds resilience. Over time, repeated efforts, combined with forgiveness and persistence, strengthen both financial discipline and emotional intelligence. Your future is shaped by your actions today, but unconscious patterns often dictate these actions. By identifying, pausing, and redirecting automatic reactions, you reclaim control. Each corrected response reinforces the principle that you are in charge of your financial life. Each conscious choice compounds over time into stability, growth, and confidence. Automatic reactions can be subtle. They appear in small decisions that feel inconsequential. Skipping a budget review, accepting a subscription without thinking, or giving in to minor temptations. These seemingly small actions accumulate, eroding long-term financial security. Correcting them requires vigilance and consistency. Treat every decision as a test of intentional action. Recognize that small choices build the structure of your financial life over years, not months. The process of correcting automatic reactions strengthens your overall decision-making. It develops patience, focus, and strategic thinking. You become less reactive to external pressures and more deliberate in pursuing objectives. The habits formed through this practice do more than protect your finances. They enhance your ability to navigate life with clarity and control. You must also anticipate situations where automatic reactions are likely to arise. Recognize that high-stress moments, excitement, or fatigue increase susceptibility to impulsive decisions. Plan ahead for these scenarios. Prepare rules, routines, or interventions that guide you toward deliberate action. Proactive planning reduces risk and fortifies your financial stability. The ultimate goal of correcting automatic reactions is to create intentional behavior that serves long-term goals. When conscious action replaces reflexive response, you no longer feel at the mercy of circumstance or emotion. You begin to act with clarity, making decisions that protect and grow your financial future. Over time, these conscious choices compound into lasting stability, freedom, and confidence. Correcting automatic reactions transforms your financial identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who makes thoughtful, strategic choices. Your confidence increases because you know you can respond intentionally, rather than reacting impulsively. This shift in self-perception reinforces deliberate behavior and strengthens your ability to navigate challenges without reverting to old patterns. Start by noticing one automatic reaction that consistently undermines your finances. Observe it without judgment. Pause before responding. Decide on a deliberate action that aligns with your goals. Repeat this process consistently. Each small effort compounds, rewiring your brain and reshaping your behavior. Gradually, automatic reactions that once threatened your financial future become deliberate choices that support growth. Over time, the cumulative effect of corrected reactions is profound. You become a person capable of making decisions that consistently serve your goals. Financial mistakes become less frequent. Opportunities are evaluated with clarity. Stress and emotional impulses no longer dominate your choices. Your financial life shifts from reactive chaos to deliberate control. Correcting automatic reactions is a lifelong skill. It is not a one-time adjustment, but an ongoing practice. Each day provides moments to notice, pause, and choose different. The more consistently you apply these principles, the more natural intentional action becomes. Your mind rewires itself to respond with awareness, rather than habit, creating lasting protection for your financial future. Every deliberate decision today safeguards tomorrow. Every pause strengthens control. Every corrected reaction compounds into stability. Your financial future depends on your ability to act intentionally, not automatically. By mastering this skill, you take full responsibility for your money, your choices, and your long-term security. Automatic reactions can no longer dictate your life because you have learned to respond consciously, wisely, and strategically.
Chapter 8. Build steady personal standards to raise your financial level. Building steady personal standards is one of the most powerful ways to elevate your financial life. Standards are the invisible rules you set for yourself, the boundaries you live by, and the level of quality you accept in your decisions. Many people drift through life without clear standards. They allow external circumstances, peer pressure, or momentary feelings to dictate their actions. When this happens, money is often spent impulsively, opportunities are missed, and growth stalls. Establishing steady personal standards ensures that your actions are deliberate, aligned with your values, and consistently push you toward higher financial outcomes. Personal standards begin with clarity. You must define what matters to you and what you will no longer tolerate. Ask yourself what behaviors, habits, and choices align with the life you want. Decide how much effort you are willing to put into improving your finances, how much discipline you will exercise, and how intentional you will be with your money. Without clear standards, you will constantly compromise and settle for less than you deserve. Clarity is the first step toward consistency and growth. Consistency is the cornerstone of high standards. A standard without repetition is meaningless. You must live by your standards daily, even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. If you set a standard to save a percentage of your income, commit to it every month. If you commit to spending only on things that add real value, enforce it in every transaction. Living consistently according to your standards trains your mind and creates habits that protect and grow your wealth. Personal standards protect you from compromise. In financial life, compromise often comes disguised as convenience, social pressure, or temporary pleasure.
Without standards, it is easy to justify decisions that undermine your goal. Standards act as a filter, automatically guiding you to choices that align with your long-term interests. They prevent small lapses from turning into large setbacks. Once you internalize these standards, decision-making becomes simpler because the choice is clear. Either it meets your standard or it does not. Building standards requires self-respect. You must recognize that your time, energy, and money have value. People who respect themselves are less likely to accept mediocrity in any area of life. This respect translates directly into financial behavior. You stop spending to impress others. You stop agreeing to deals or opportunities that don't serve your goal. You start valuing investments in yourself and your future over fleeting satisfaction. When you raise your personal standards, you naturally elevate the level of your finances. Standards are strengthened through repetition and accountability. The more often you follow your principles, the more ingrained they become. Each decision aligned with your standards reinforces your ability to maintain them. Accountability can accelerate this process. Sharing your commitments with someone you trust, tracking your progress, or journaling your choices adds a layer of responsibility. It reminds you that your standards are not abstract ideals, but actionable rules that guide your behavior every day. A key part of building steady standards is eliminating excuses. Excuses are the enemy of consistency. They justify compromising your standards and give temporary relief at the cost of long-term growth. Whether it is the excuse of lack of time, lack of resources, or fear of failure, allowing excuses weakens your discipline. To raise your financial level, confront excuses directly. Replace them with proactive solutions, planned actions, and intentional decisions. Every time you refuse to give in to excuses, you strengthen your personal standards. High personal standards also require selective focus. Not every opportunity or decision warrants attention. Financial elevation comes from prioritizing actions that yield the greatest impact. Decide what areas of spending, saving, or investing deserve your attention. Choose what routines, learning, or habits will move you closer to your goal. Standards help you filter distractions, focus on what matters, and protect your energy and resources for activities that truly elevate your financial level. Personal standards are built in alignment with your values. Standards that do not reflect your values are weak because they lack internal motivation. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? What financial behaviors reflect that identity? Once your standards align with your values, they are easier to maintain because your actions feel authentic. You are no longer acting out of obligation or fear, but from a place of self-respect and purpose. Financial standards also protect against reactive behavior. People often make poor financial choices when they react to external pressures, advertisements, social media, or peer actions. Standards create an internal compass that guides decisions regardless of external influence. You decide what is acceptable and what is not. Over time, these standards shape your habits, your mindset, and the trajectory of your financial life. You respond with intentionality rather than reacting impulsively. Building standards is a process of progressive improvement. Your first version of standards does not need to be perfect. Start with the areas that are most critical for financial growth. Gradually expand them into other aspects of your financial life. Increase the level of quality and discipline over time. This incremental approach allows your mind to adjust, reduces resistance, and ensures that standards become sustainable rather than temporary rules that are abandoned under pressure. High personal standards encourage long-term thinking. They require you to consider the consequences of actions before making decisions. Impulse spending, short-term satisfaction, and convenience often conflict with your long-term financial goal. When your standards are clear, they act as a filter, helping you prioritize actions that generate lasting benefits. Over time, repeated adherence to high standards compounds into significant growth and security. Standards also create self-confidence. Every time you make a choice in line with your standards, you reinforce your ability to control your financial life. You stop feeling helpless or reactive. You trust your judgment because it is guided by principles rather than impulse. This confidence enables you to take calculated risks, invest wisely, and pursue opportunities without hesitation. Financial elevation is not just about money. It is about the mindset that standards create. Consistency in living by standards also strengthens your reputation. People notice those who act with discipline, integrity, and intentionality. Your financial network, business partners, or mentors respond positively to individuals who demonstrate high standards. The opportunities that come to disciplined individuals are often better aligned with long-term growth. Maintaining personal standards creates both internal strength and external recognition, which together raise your financial level. Personal standards are maintained through reflection. Regularly evaluate whether your actions align with your principles. Notice where you have succeeded and where you have allowed compromise. Reflection strengthens awareness, encourages course correction, and ensures that your standards remain meaningful and actionable. Without reflection, even strong standards can weaken over time as small deviations accumulate unnoticed. Standards also encourage discipline. In new situations, life constantly presents changes and challenges, and new opportunities can test your limits. If your standards are solid, you approach these situations with clarity rather than confusion. You decide based on what aligns with your principles rather than reacting impulsively or following the crowd. This preparedness ensures that financial decisions under pressure remain consistent with your goals. Building steady personal standards strengthens your relationship with money. You learn to respect it, protect it, and use it intentionally. You stop making decisions that compromise your future for temporary satisfaction. Each standard you enforce acts like a boundary that guides you toward higher levels of financial achievement. Over time, these boundaries create freedom rather than restriction, because they align your behavior with growth. Maintaining high standards also requires patience. The benefits of strong standards are rarely immediate. Financial elevation is a gradual process that results from repeated adherence over months and years. Patience allows you to stay committed, resist short-term temptation, and focus on the long-term benefit. Each consistent day reinforces your standards and brings you closer to financial security and growth. Personal standards are strengthened by learning. Exposure to new ideas, strategies, and perspectives informs your decisions and raises the level of your standard. As you acquire knowledge about money, investment, and personal growth, you refine the principles you live by. Continuous learning ensures that your standards remain relevant, effective, and aligned with the highest potential for financial success. High standards also improve decision-making speed. When your boundaries are clear, choices become simpler. You no longer waste energy deliberating over decisions that violate your principles because the answer is obvious. Act only in alignment with your standard. This clarity reduces stress, increases confidence, and ensures that your financial energy is focused on actions that elevate your life. Consistency, alignment with values, clarity, patience, reflection, and learning are all essential in building steady personal standards. Each choice that honors your standards compounds into better habits, stronger discipline, and higher financial outcomes. Standards are not arbitrary rules. They are commitments to yourself and your future. When maintained daily, they raise the level of your financial life steadily and reliably. The process of building personal standards begins now. Define what matters most, set boundaries for your actions, commit to daily consistency, and evaluate your progress regularly. Each action that aligns with your standards strengthens your ability to protect and grow your finances. Over time, these steady personal standards become the foundation that elevates every aspect of your financial life. By raising your standards, you raise your financial level. You stop settling for temporary convenience or easy choices. You begin acting with intention, integrity, and purpose. Your decisions reflect your goals rather than impulses. Your habits reinforce growth. Your mindset becomes stronger, your confidence deeper, and your ability to navigate challenges. The life you desire is built through the steady application of high personal standards, and each day is an opportunity to reinforce them. When you commit to steady standards, you create a life that consistently attracts financial growth. Opportunities present themselves to those who maintain clarity, discipline, and consistency. Decisions become aligned with long-term goals. Risks are evaluated carefully. Your finances grow not by chance, but because the actions you take daily reflect the level of excellence you have set for yourself. Building steady personal standards is not easy, but it is simple. It requires deliberate action, ongoing awareness, and a refusal to compromise. Every time you honor your standards, you elevate your behavior, your decisions, and ultimately your financial life. Steady standards protect your resources, guide your choices, and raise your financial level over time. The effort you invest today compounds into a stronger, more capable, and more financially empowered version of yourself.
Chapter 9. Replace impulsive choices today to support long-term finances. Impulsive decisions are one of the biggest obstacles to financial growth. They happen quickly, without thought, often triggered by emotion, stress, or instant gratification. The problem with impulsive choices is that they prioritize temporary satisfaction over long-term results. One unplanned purchase, one rushed investment, or one hasty decision may seem small at the moment, but repeated over weeks and months, these choices quietly erode financial stability. To create lasting wealth and control, you must replace impulsive behavior with deliberate strategic action that supports long-term financial goals. Recognizing impulsive patterns is the first step. Many people believe they are acting rationally, when in reality they are following ingrained habits. Perhaps you spend when stressed, shop online when bored, or jump into investments without adequate research. These patterns feel automatic and justified, but they are harmful because they bypass careful evaluation. Start by observing your behavior without judgment. Identify the moments where impulse dictates your actions. Awareness creates the opportunity to act differently. Delaying decisions is a powerful strategy for replacing impulsive choices. Immediate action is often the enemy of financial control. Introducing a pause, even for a few hours, creates space for rational evaluation. When you feel the urge to spend or act, ask yourself whether this decision serves your long-term goals. Consider alternatives, weigh benefits, and review consequences. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to value thoughtful action over instant satisfaction, gradually replacing impulse with strategy. Planning ahead reduces the power of impulses. When you create a financial plan, budget, or goal-based strategy, you create a framework that guides your choices. Spending without a plan is dangerous because it leaves decisions to chance or emotion. A budget establishes boundaries, goals provide purpose. When impulses arise, the plan acts as a reference point. Instead of reacting, you follow the structure you have intentionally created. The more detailed and realistic your plan, the easier it becomes to resist impulsive temptations. Automatic triggers for impulsive behavior often involve emotional states. Stress, frustration, excitement, or even happiness can drive unplanned decisions. Emotional awareness is critical. When you notice a surge of emotion, pause and ask why you feel compelled to act. Understanding the connection between feelings and decisions allows you to separate reaction from reason. Emotional intelligence strengthens your ability to act deliberately and ensures that your actions support your financial future rather than undermine it.
Replacing impulsive choices requires substitution. Simply stopping a behavior without providing an alternative often leads to relapse. If you typically shop online when bored, replace that behavior with reviewing savings, researching opportunities, or completing a productive task. If you invest hastily, replace the impulse with a structured research process. Substitution trains your mind to respond differently, creating new habits that are intentional, beneficial, and aligned with long-term goals. Accountability accelerates progress in replacing impulsive behavior. Share your goals or actions with someone you trust or track your decisions in a journal. When someone else observes your choices, or when you are recording them, you are less likely to act impulsive. Accountability reinforces self-discipline, creates awareness, and supports long-term behavior change. Over time, external accountability becomes internalized, and deliberate action becomes your default mode. Creating clear rules strengthens decision-making. Rules provide clarity in moments of temptation. For example, set a rule that any non-essential purchase must wait 24 hours, or establish a rule to review every investment with specific criteria before committing. Rules remove ambiguity, reduce hesitation, and guide behavior automatically. The more structured your rules, the easier it becomes to replace impulsive actions with deliberate choices that build long-term financial security. Reflection is critical in this process. After any financial decision, take time to review whether it was impulsive or intentional. Analyze the triggers and outcomes. Ask what could have been done differently. Reflection transforms mistakes into learning opportunities and reinforces patterns of deliberate behavior. It ensures that impulsive actions do not repeat unchecked and that new habits of conscious decision-making strengthen over time. A visualization can reinforce the replacement of impulsive choices. Spend time imagining the benefits of consistent, thoughtful financial behavior. Picture how saving regularly, investing wisely, and following your budget produces stability and freedom. A visualization aligns your subconscious mind with your long-term goals, making it easier to resist short-term temptation. When your mind sees the results of deliberate action clearly, impulses lose power over you. Environment also plays a major role. Impulsive behavior is often reinforced by external cues, such as advertising, peer pressure, or accessibility of money. Reduce exposure to triggers. Limit time on apps or websites that encourage impulsive spending. Avoid social situations that pressure unplanned purchases. Make your environment supportive of intentional choices rather than reactive behavior. A structured environment strengthens discipline and reinforces new, deliberate patterns. Financial education strengthens the ability to replace impulsive decisions. Understanding how money works, learning about saving, investing, and budgeting, and developing a long-term perspective equips you with the knowledge to act consciously. When you understand the consequences of hasty actions, the mental and emotional resistance to impulsive choices, knowledge empowers action and reduces the likelihood of financial mistakes caused by quick decisions. Incremental improvement is key. You do not need to eliminate all impulsive behavior at once. Focus on small, achievable changes. Delay one purchase a day, review one investment carefully, or track one financial habit consistently. Each small success strengthens self-discipline and builds confidence. Over time, the cumulative effect transforms reactive behavior into intentional, goal-oriented action. Gradual change is sustainable and powerful. Rewarding deliberate action reinforces new patterns. When you successfully replace an impulsive choice with a planned one, acknowledge it. Positive reinforcement encourages repetition. Over time, your brain associates strategic action with satisfaction, reducing the allure of instant gratification. Rewarding conscious behavior solidifies new habits and ensures long-term adherence to financially beneficial choices. Replacing impulsive choices is also about mindset shift, focus from temporary gratification to long-term benefit. When tempted to act without thinking, remind yourself of your larger goals: financial independence, stability, freedom, or security. Keeping these objectives at the forefront strengthens resolve and makes impulsive decisions less appealing. A future-oriented mindset transforms motivation into consistent, deliberate action. Discipline develops with repeated practice. The first attempts to resist impulsive behavior may feel awkward or challenging. You may fail occasionally. This is normal. What matters is persistence. Each deliberate choice builds mental resilience and strengthens self-control. Over time, responding intentionally becomes easier, and impulsive behavior loses influence. The repetition of mindful action rewires habits and reinforces long-term financial benefits. Planning for unexpected impulses prevents mistakes. Create strategies for moments when temptations are strong. Carry a mental checklist, have a budget review routine, or delay decisions when emotional pressure is high. Planning anticipates challenges and equips you to act intentionally, even under stress. By foreseeing opportunities for impulsive behavior, you maintain control and protect long-term financial outcomes. Replacing impulsive choices requires awareness of opportunity costs. Every impulsive action comes at the expense of something else: savings, investment, or future growth. Understanding the trade-off reinforces conscious decision-making. Before acting, ask, "What am I giving up by doing this now?" This perspective shifts thinking from immediate satisfaction to long-term strategy, encouraging deliberate behavior. Developing rituals strengthens intentional action. Daily habits, like reviewing your budget, tracking expenses, or setting aside savings, create a structure that supports deliberate choices. Rituals reduce the likelihood of impulsive decisions because they anchor behavior to consistent patterns. When action is guided by routine, impulse is weakened, and long-term financial support becomes automatic. Surround yourself with influences that encourage deliberate behavior. People who respect long-term goals, mentors who provide guidance, or communities focused on growth create an environment where impulsive actions are less likely. External influence reinforces internal discipline and provides both inspiration and accountability. Supportive relationships strengthen the ability to make decisions that serve your future rather than momentary desires. Replacing impulsive choices is an ongoing process. You will encounter new challenges, emotions, and temptation. Continuous practice ensures that deliberate behavior becomes habitual. Each day is an opportunity to make choices that reflect your long-term vision. Over time, small, consistent decisions accumulate into substantial financial security, independence, and growth. The power of replacing impulsive behavior is not just in preventing losses, but in creating opportunities. When you act deliberately, you make room for strategic investments, thoughtful spending, and effective wealth building. Impulse leaves no room for planning, analysis, or learning. Deliberate action opens doors to consistent growth and positions you to capitalize on opportunities that impulsive behavior would miss. Self-reflection is essential in reinforcing new behavior. After each financial decision, consider what influenced your choice. Identify moments of impulse and analyze how you acted differently. Reflection consolidates learning, reinforces intentionality, and strengthens the ability to continue making deliberate choices in the future. Long-term finances depend on your ability to act intentionally, resist short-term gratification, and align decisions with your goals.
Impulses are natural, but they are not uncontrollable. With awareness, planning, delay, substitution, and reflection, impulsive behavior can be replaced with conscious action. Over time, these consistent choices compound into stability, growth, and freedom. Start today by identifying one area where impulsive behavior is stronger. Implement a small strategy to pause and act deliberately. Track results, reflect, and adjust. Each success reinforces your ability to replace instant reactions with deliberate action. Each day compounds the impact of intentional behavior, strengthening long-term financial outcomes. Replacing impulsive choices is not about perfection. Mistakes will happen. What matters is the commitment to consistently act differently, learn from errors, and reinforce deliberate behavior. Over time, deliberate choices become second nature. Impulsive reactions weaken, and financial control strengthens. Your long-term finances improve steadily because your actions are guided by strategy rather than fleeting desire. Deliberate action becomes a habit. Impulse no longer dictates your spending, saving, investing decisions. Reflect your priorities, goals, and long-term vision. Financial security grows because each choice is intentional. Over months and years, this habit builds wealth, confidence, and freedom. Your financial future is no longer subject to temporary desires, but shaped by deliberate, consistent, and purposeful action. Every choice you replace today protects your tomorrow. Each act of discipline compounds. Impulsive behavior loses its grip, and intentional behavior strengthens. By consciously replacing short-term satisfaction with strategic decision-making, you secure long-term financial success. Over time, the cumulative effect is profound, turning small, deliberate actions into significant, lasting transformation of your financial life.
Chapter 10. Shape your inner discipline daily to grow your financial stability. Discipline is the foundation of financial stability and the unseen force behind lasting success. Without discipline, even the highest income or the best opportunities are wasted. Discipline determines how consistently you save, invest, budget, and grow. It governs your choices when no one is watching and ensures that your actions today align with your long-term goals. Shaping your inner discipline is not about harsh rules or punishment. It is about building consistent habits, strengthening your willpower, and creating a mindset that automatically favors decisions that enhance stability and growth. Developing discipline begins with self-awareness. You must understand your current behaviors, tendencies, and weaknesses. Recognize areas where impulsive decisions, procrastination, or lack of follow-through have compromised your finances. Awareness is the first step because you cannot change what you do not see. Track your spending, monitor your routines, and notice patterns that undermine progress. Understanding your starting point allows you to create realistic strategies for improvement and ensures that your efforts are focused on areas with the greatest impact. Consistency is the core of inner discipline. Discipline is built not in moments of strength, but in repeated actions over time. Saving a small percentage of your income daily, sticking to a budget, or reviewing your financial goals regularly might feel tedious, but each repeated action compounds into significant progress. Discipline is less about perfection and more about showing up every day and following through with intention. Even small steps, when taken consistently, create momentum and reinforce the habit of controlled, goal-oriented behavior. Prioritization strengthens discipline. Every day presents countless opportunities and choices, and without clear priorities, it is easy to drift or react to immediate pressures. Determine which actions have the greatest impact on your financial stability and focus on them first.
paying bills on time, maintaining a budget, investing regularly, and building emergency savings should take precedence over minor non-essential spending or short-term gratification. By prioritizing effectively, you ensure that your energy, focus, and discipline are directed toward actions that matter most. Setting boundaries is critical in shaping inner discipline. Boundaries protect your time, energy, and resources from distractions or temptation. They ensure that you do not overspend, overcommit, or deviate from your financial plan. Boundaries are both internal and external. Internally, they involve self-control and adherence to standards. Externally, they may involve limiting exposure to situations, people, or environments that encourage impulsive or unproductive financial behavior. Strong boundaries create the structure that allows discipline to thrive. Daily habits are the building blocks of discipline. The small choices you make consistently define your financial trajectory more than occasional large decisions. Simple routines such as reviewing expenses, tracking income, setting aside savings, and reflecting on financial progress reinforce discipline naturally. Habits automate positive behavior, reducing the mental effort required to act in alignment with your goals. When discipline becomes habitual, it no longer relies solely on willpower, but is embedded in your daily life. Delayed gratification is a key component of financial discipline. Discipline is the ability to prioritize long-term benefits over immediate satisfaction. It is choosing to invest, save, or plan rather than spending impulsively. Every time you resist a small temptation, you strengthen your ability to delay gratification in the future. Delayed gratification compounds over time, allowing your financial stability to grow steadily as disciplined choices accumulate into significant results. Accountability enhances the development of inner discipline. When you share your commitments with a trusted person, mentor, or financial advisor, you increase the likelihood of following through. Accountability provides motivation, external reinforcement, and feedback. It encourages reflection and helps correct deviations before they become habits. Regularly reporting progress and reviewing your actions ensures that discipline is not abstract, but actively applied and measured. Mindset is inseparable from discipline. Discipline is not simply doing what is difficult, it is acting from a place of purpose, clarity, and long-term vision. Developing a mindset that values growth, patience, and consistency ensures that discipline is sustainable. When your mind is focused on outcomes, possibilities, and responsibilities, it naturally drives behavior aligned with financial stability. A disciplined mindset strengthens decision-making, reduces susceptibility to impulse, and reinforces habits that secure your future. Self-control grows through incremental challenges. Discipline is a muscle that becomes stronger when exercised consistently. Begin with small manageable tasks, such as saving a set amount daily, reviewing your budget, or avoiding a single unnecessary purchase. As you succeed in these smaller tasks, gradually take on larger challenges that require greater self-control. Incremental growth ensures that your discipline strengthens steadily rather than overwhelming you and risking burnout or failure. Reflection solidifies discipline. Taking time each day or week to evaluate your choices, routines, and progress reinforces self-awareness and accountability. Reflect on moments when discipline succeeded, when you resisted temptation, and when you faltered. Understanding the reasons behind success and failure strengthens your strategies and reinforces the behavior that supports financial stability. Reflection is the bridge between action and learning, turning each experience into an opportunity to improve your inner discipline. Planning enhances discipline by creating structure. Discipline is easier to maintain when decisions are guided by a clear roadmap rather than leaving them to chance. Set short-term and long-term goals, outline actionable steps, and schedule regular checkpoints to measure progress. A well-thought-out plan removes uncertainty, reduces reactive behavior,
and ensures that daily choices consistently align with your financial objective. Planning transforms intention into action and supports the natural growth of discipline. Resisting distractions is essential in shaping inner discipline. Modern life is full of temptations, advertisements, and pressures to spend or act impulsively. Discipline requires you to filter these distractions and focus on what matters. Identify triggers that compromise financial decisions and create strategies to manage or avoid them. Limiting exposure to unnecessary stimuli strengthens the ability to act deliberately and protects the energy required for consistent financial growth. Self-motivation fuels discipline. Waiting for external factors to drive action is unreliable. True discipline comes from internal commitment. Develop personal reasons for acting consistently: stability, independence, freedom, security. Keep these motivators visible and remind yourself regularly. Internal motivation ensures that discipline persists even when external circumstances are challenging or support is absent. It is the engine that sustains daily consistency in the pursuit of financial stability. Adaptability supports disciplined growth. Life is unpredictable and challenges will test your routines and habits. Discipline does not mean rigidity. It means maintaining focus on goals while adjusting methods when necessary. Being adaptable allows you to handle setbacks, recover from mistakes, and continue progressing without compromising standards. Flexibility combined with consistency ensures that discipline remains effective in diverse situations, supporting long-term financial growth. Visualization strengthens daily discipline. Envision the results of consistent financial behavior. Stability, independence, and the freedom to make choices confidently. Picture yourself acting with restraint, reviewing budgets, saving strategically, and making smart investments. Visualization aligns your subconscious mind with conscious actions, reinforcing the commitment to discipline. When you see the benefits clearly, maintaining daily consistency becomes easier and more compelling. Time management reinforces financial discipline. Poor management of time often leads to rushed, reactive, and unplanned decisions. Allocate specific times for budgeting, reviewing investments, planning expenses, and learning about financial growth. Structured time ensures that financial priorities receive attention daily and reduces the likelihood of impulsive or negligent decisions. Discipline thrives in an environment where time is intentionally managed rather than dictated by circumstance. Accountable tracking magnifies results. Keep a journal, spreadsheet, or digital record of your actions and financial decisions. Tracking progress reinforces discipline, makes patterns visible, and highlights areas for improvement. Quantifying behavior transforms abstract concepts into tangible results, making it easier to stay consistent. Over time, tracking becomes a habit that supports intentional decision-making and reinforces financial stability. Self-compassion supports sustained discipline. Developing discipline is challenging, and setbacks are inevitable. Avoid harsh self-criticism, as it can demotivate and undermine progress. Instead, view mistakes as feedback, adjust your approach, and recommit to your standard. Compassion ensures resilience, encourages persistence, and maintains focus on long-term objectives. Discipline is strengthened, not through fear or guilt, but through mindful, consistent effort, combined with patience. Discipline strengthens decision-making under pressure. When faced with unexpected expenses, investment opportunities, or financial setbacks, disciplined individuals act rationally, rather than reacting emotionally. Daily practice of self-control, planning, and reflection builds confidence in your ability to navigate challenging situations. This capability protects your financial stability and ensures that critical decisions align with long-term objectives rather than short-term impulses. Continuous learning enhances discipline. Exposure to financial knowledge, strategies, and personal growth concepts provides the tools necessary for informed decision-making. Knowledge reduces reliance on guesswork and strengthens confidence in taking deliberate action. The more you learn, the easier it becomes to act consistently and avoid mistakes driven by lack of understanding. Discipline grows when supported by awareness, skill, and clarity. Discipline compounds over time. Small, consistent actions in saving, budgeting, investing, and learning accumulate to create significant financial stability. Daily adherence to principles strengthens habits, mindset, and decision-making capability. Each day of disciplined action builds momentum, making future discipline easier and more automatic. The cumulative effect transforms your financial life from reactive and unstable to controlled, strategic, and growing steadily. The environment affects your ability to maintain discipline. Surround yourself with influences that support intentional behavior, financial responsibility, and long-term growth. Avoid negative influences that encourage impulsive spending, procrastination, or poor financial habits. Curate your surroundings to reinforce consistency, self-control, and awareness. A supportive environment acts as a framework that amplifies your inner discipline and reduces friction in maintaining daily standards. Discipline is strengthened through practice in real-life situations. Daily choices in spending, saving, investing, and learning serve as training grounds. Treat each decision as an opportunity to exercise self-control, intentionality, and focus on long-term outcomes. Over time, repeated practice transforms disciplined behavior into second nature, creating a strong foundation for financial stability. The key to shaping inner discipline is making it an integral part of daily life. Set routines that align with goals, reinforce habits, and create accountability. Review decisions, reflect on actions, and adjust strategies consistently. Focus on incremental improvement rather than perfection. Each day presents opportunities to act deliberately, resist temptation, and reinforce behaviors that support financial growth. Inner discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. It ensures that plans are executed, mistakes are minimized, and financial growth is consistent. Discipline transforms intention into action, reinforces positive habits, and strengthens the mindset necessary for stability. Without it, even the best strategies or intentions fail. By shaping your discipline daily, you control your financial destiny, make informed decisions, and build a life defined by stability, security, and growth. Shaping inner discipline daily is not temporary, it is lifelong. The effort invested compounds like interest in your behavior, mindset, and decision-making. Over time, self-control becomes automatic, habits strengthen, and financial stability grows steadily. Each deliberate action today builds the foundation for a future where decisions are aligned with goals, impulses are managed, and opportunities are maximized. Consistent discipline shapes not only finances, but character, resilience, and the ability to thrive under any circumstance. Daily discipline creates freedom rather than restriction. By committing to deliberate action, you gain control over your finances and your life. Choices become intentional, mistakes decrease, and opportunities multiply. Financial stability is the natural outcome of disciplined behavior applied consistently over time. Every step taken to shape discipline is a step towards security, independence, and the confidence to make decisions that support your long-term growth. Each day is an opportunity to strengthen inner discipline. Small actions, reviewing a budget, saving intentionally, making informed investments, resisting unnecessary spending, and reflecting on decisions, accumulate into a strong foundation. Over months and years, these choices compound, creating a financial life defined by stability, growth, and confidence. Discipline is not a one-time act, but a daily practice that shapes your future. Inner discipline ensures that your financial actions are consistent, strategic, and aligned with goals. It protects against impulsive mistakes, strengthens habits, and reinforces long-term vision. By committing to daily practice, tracking progress, maintaining accountability, and reflecting on choices, you cultivate a level of control that secures stability. Discipline transforms potential into results and ensures that financial growth is not left to chance, but built intentionally through consistent, purposeful action. Every decision, every habit, and every action you take today shapes your financial tomorrow. Shaping inner discipline is the continuous process of aligning behavior with goals, strengthening self-control, and building habits that support stability. Through consistent effort, awareness, and reflection, you create a life where financial security is the natural outcome of deliberate, disciplined choices. Your future grows steadily because your discipline strengthens daily, making stability, growth, and freedom inevitable over time.